Got my razor washed up. Was getting ready to grease it up. And I thought you guys maybe would enjoy a little information about grease, particularly the grease that I'm using. I drive my razor through the mud, through the creek, you know, water up through the floorboards type action. And I try to keep good grease in it. So I'm gonna show you a cool way to take what grease you're using, see if it's really gonna stand up to the riding that you do. Okay, so I have a tube of grease here. We'll just kind of leave the label back and bottle of water. So if you guys do the kind of riding I do and you wash your equipment, power washer, take some grease that you use, you're pumping into your A-arms and pivot points on your razor. And just kind of work that just like it was you're riding through the creek and the suspension was working, or you're washing it, or if you leave your equipment parked outside, however you want to imagine it. But basically you'll see I've got some pink on one side and got grease on the other. What's happened here is the moisture has attacked that thickener, that lithium, the sponge that's in grease. So it emulsifies and it breaks down. Moisture stays in the grease, so the moisture sitting there attacking whatever that grease is around. So rubber, it's not that big of a deal. Metal parts, it's gonna cause it to rust. Let me get cleaned up and I'll show you a way better option. If you do the kind of riding I do and the kind of moisture, you really ought to take a peek at this. This is Schaffer's 274 grease. This is an aluminum complex grease, which is kind of techno-babble for waterproof. So what you'll notice about this grease, I'm sitting there working it with the water. Driving around in the creek, power washing your equipment off, leaving the mud balls around the A-arm for a week or so and they dry up, sucking the moisture in there. That grease will not break down in the presence of moisture. It is waterproof, not water resistant. This is what I pump on all of my equipment. Another little tech tip for you guys. Sometimes it's tough for me to hold a grease zerk somewhere up in that chassis on my razor and then keep it pressed on there while I'm back here squeezing the trigger trying to grease. So I have gone to this little rig on the end of my grease gun. It's called a lock-in lube. These are made in South Africa, and what it does, those jaws open up, go around the grease zerk, and then when this collar slides back down, it holds it on the grease zerk, and then I'm free to come back in here and pump my grease, and then when I'm done, I release it, it comes off, and there's a little rubber O-ring inside there, so there's not grease just bellowing over the side and building up a big ball of grease around that grease zerk, or falling down and then getting on my razor, particularly my A-arms and stuff after I've gotten them clean. So, lock and lube, love this little thing.